Andy Biggs, thank you for being here at the Daily Signal today.
Thanks, Emma. Good to be with you.
You've been in Congress since 2016, and now you're back running for governor. What are 3 things you would like to accomplish in the first year if you're elected?
If I'm elected, the first 3 things we want to do is we want to drive down the cost in Arizona. So we want to lower the price of housing in Arizona. That's way too high. We want to pass the Florida-style election integrity bill and get that signed very quickly. And we want to have a balanced budget that comes out very quickly. I used to write budgets for Arizona, and if we do that, I'm anticipating the shortest legislative session in state history.
Sounds like a good plan. I think I would be remiss not to mention Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk was here right from this state of Arizona, and I was wondering if you have any plans to potentially honor him if you're elected as governor of Arizona.
Well, I would love if Congress doesn't place the statue that I've introduced legislation for, then I would love for that statue to go here in Arizona.
I think that's a great idea. Phoenix's illegal alien population hit 225,000 in 2023, and we think it's only gone up after the former administration. What are your plans to work with border enforcement and ICE to tackle that problem here in Arizona?
Well, the first thing that we'll do is we will reinstitute and refund the Border Security Task Force. That's a force that was in place under Governor Ducey, the Republican, and then this current governor. That's one of the first things she did is she disbanded it. So we'll work with them, and that will actually get everybody back into the 287G program. So we'll be working with the federal law enforcement and on immigration enforcement issues. Those 2 things right there will really help a lot. And then the other thing is we'll make sure that the local sheriffs down there on the border have what they need. But you're right, we've got a problem in Arizona. There's 1,000 drop houses, I'm told, in the Phoenix metro area. Mm-hmm. And Arizona is one of only 2 states where the fentanyl overdose deaths are increasing.
Mm-hmm. Would you consider calling Trump or Tom Homan on day 1 to start working with more border enforcement?
Well, I mean, I know Tom. Of course, I have both of their numbers, and I've worked with Tom, and he and I have actually talked about what should happen. He's taking the good approach, as is Secretary Mullen, and so I don't know if we'll do that on day 1, but before we're sworn in, I'm sure we'll have that conversation on how we enforce the immigration laws in Arizona. Mm-hmm.
Now, you mentioned fentanyl. Fentanyl is the deadliest drug in Arizona now. Do you have plans to work with the admin or the drug czar to combat this problem?
Yes. So we actually had the drug czar, Sarah Carter, out here just a couple of weeks ago, and we went on tour of DEA, et cetera. So we will continue to work with her and to bring this to the attention. The problem that you're seeing right now is fentanyl itself. It just might take a grain or 2 to cause death, but the more lethal drugs that they're having now, you can't even see it. It's just it's just dust, and that can kill you. And so we're going to have to really, really enforce the border. And by the way, we have some places where there's still some open border that have to be closed, mm-hmm. and that's where we'll be tackling.
Mm-hmm. Now, related to the border is the problem of affordability. Arizona is now rated 45th in affordability in the country, and that's only gone down. It's only gotten worse in recent years. What are your specific plans to tackle affordability in the state?
So when you talk about affordability, let's talk first about gas. We have to get off our dependence on California gas and oil, which means that we need to accelerate the building of an additional pipeline from Texas to Arizona. And if we get that accelerated and it gets built in the next 18 months, you'll see that help the affordability problem. But when you start talking about housing affordability, we want the interest rates to drop on houses. That would be helpful. But that's more of a federal thing than a state thing. But what we're going to do in the state is we have state trust land that we can make available to actually to sell. You can't give it away, but you can sell it. And that would create more property that's available. So you have less scarcity. That means the price will drop. The problem that we've had under this governor, she's actually created moratoriums on building homes in the two fastest growing communities in Arizona, which are two of the top 10 fastest growing communities in the country. So she prevented that for 3 years, us building any homes in there. We're going to take care of that, make sure those are fine, and allow people to build. The other thing that will actually help is about 40% of cost in Arizona for housing is a result of permitting and regulatory constraints from various levels of government. We're going to attack that and bring those costs down.
You mentioned high regulatory costs. You also have mentioned that in your platform you want to get rid of income tax. Are you considering some type of DOGE task force to eliminate fraud here in Arizona?
Yeah, we have, just in the Medicaid program alone, we have, by a Democrat Attorney General, an estimate of at least $2.8 billion per year in Medicaid fraud. That would take care of most of that income tax issue right there. But then we have multiple additional programs. There was just a report out from one of the state legislators this very day regarding another program. And so, yes, we are going to doge the heck out of our state, clean it up of corruption, clean it up of fraud. We're going to prosecute fraudsters, and we're going to save the state untold billions of dollars.
Mm-hmm. Let's talk a little bit about election integrity. There's been a lot of talk about the Save America Act in Congress. I'm sure you're very familiar with that. In Arizona, you do not need proof of citizenship to vote in federal elections. You can sign a form saying that you're a citizen, but there's really no way that you have to prove that. And there's currently 40,000 people registered to vote in federal elections in Arizona. So would you potentially consider some type of local or state legislation that would tackle the issue of election integrity?
Well, yeah, we will have legislation. It'll mirror Florida's legislation, which is the gold standard. But you're correct. Here's what hampers us. Just a few years ago, just for history's sake, just a few years ago, you only had maybe a couple hundred, as many as 500-700 people that were applying for that federal-only ballot. Now, why would anybody want just a federal-only ballot? I don't know, but that's what you had, and now you're correct. It's many tens of thousands. Our problem is that the Supreme Court has come in, and we are the only state that has that weird dichotomy. If you want a full ballot, you have to, when you're registering to vote, you have to show proof of citizenship, and when you vote, you have to show ID. That's the law in Arizona. But on that federal-only ballot, which impacts presidents, U.S. senators, and members of the U.S. House of Representatives, those are the only races it impacts. The Supreme Court said, we have no jurisdiction over the date, time, and manner of that. So that's why the Save America Act is so critical for us. And I keep pitching it to my colleagues in D.C. They're not listening, though.
Yeah. Have you been in talks with Florida's Governor Ron DeSantis about potentially how you can enforce that in Arizona?
Not lately.
Okay. And last thing, you've run on a MAHA initiative, which has become increasingly popular in the conservative movement. Have you been in talks with RFK Jr., the Secretary of Health, about how you can enforce the MAHA agenda here in Arizona?
Yes, we have. We've actually had Secretary Kennedy come to one of my events and talk about MAHA and the program that he's envisioning. And we're working with we've got multiple state organizations very interested in MAHA. And we're working with them and others at the federal level too.
Mm-hmm. And just yesterday, you announced your pick for lieutenant governor. This is the first lieutenant governor that the state will ever have. What was your process for choosing Sina Kerr like, and how does her background in agriculture complement your background?
Well, so we had a lot of people that told me they would like to serve as lieutenant governor. And we began looking many months ago who might be great, who might be able to do it. And what we were looking for is legislative experience with the federal government, somebody had been in the private sector and done business and knew about that sphere as well. We looked at all of those things, and Sina Kerr, we couldn't have a better person than Sina Kerr. She's experienced in all of that tremendous, she loves the state, grew up in the West Valley here, and she's into ag, and but she's all over the rural. She knows all the rural counties, and Arizona we have Maricopa County, which is the biggest county, about 5.5 million or so people here, and then you have Pima County with another million plus, and then everybody else lives in these other counties. They all know her, and she's been terrific out there. So the balance is, I grew up in Pima County, and my wife and I have lived up here 40 some odd years in Maricopa County and have been involved here. So I'm kind of more of a suburban urban guy, and seen as more of a rural ag person. And so it's a great counterbalance. We end up knowing a lot of very different people. Our circles overlap a little bit, but it's a tremendous, I think she's a tremendous pick. She's going to be a great lieutenant governor.
And heading towards November, what is your strategy now that you've announced your lieutenant governor, to combat the opposition?
Well, what we're doing is we're reaching out to specific communities that we think we need. It's a close race. It's polling close. It will be a close race, but it's a turnout election. So our strategy is to turn out our vote, and that's what we're doing. And so Sina will be some places, and I'll be in other places. And we've got a tremendous ground game of support with people like Turning Point Action. You got Citizens Alliance. We've got over 1,000 volunteers. The state party's got door knockers. We've got people already involved and have been involved on the ground literally for months already.
Well, Andy Biggs, thank you for talking with the Daily Signal, and we're looking forward to continuing watching the coverage until November.
Great. Thank you, Emma.